So if while I'm talking, you want to toss any questions you might have in the text chat option, and I'll look over them once I get to the end. And if we didn't go over it, then I'll go over it then. And I'm going to give it another minute or two before we start. Okay, so I created this super cute Canva slideshow last night because I'm always doing too much. Um, and this is what the topics we're gonna be hitting on today. Um, what is an evaluation? Who has to submit an evaluation? When is it due? How do I show progress for the evaluation meeting? What does the final product look like? What do I give to you? What does that look like? And then any Q&A you might have. So a little bit about me in case you don't know me, we've never talked before, or you haven't been on my page long. I homeschool my three teenagers. They are 16, 15, and 13. This is my third year writing evaluations for homeschoolers. Um, I also am a real estate agent. I've been doing that for 8 years. And my style of homeschool evaluations for proof of progress is based off of what we need here in my home. We're very enthusiastic about deschooling when necessary. The benefits of unschooling, we're all anxious here. And 4 of the 5 of us have ADHD, and 2 or 3 of us are autistic. So very familiar with families just like mine. And so, of course, I help families who are more traditional and neurotypical and maybe don't have some of these challenges or disabilities. But the large amount of the people that I help are fit into these categories. So, what is an evaluation? So the evaluation is a way to show the school district that your learners are achieving adequate growth and progress. There's one other option to prove this to the school district, and that's through a nationally normed standardized test. We've never tested in my home. Well, that's not completely the truth. We did test once, like 10 years ago, when my first attempt at homeschooling. It was pretty simple, and I think they can be very simple. It's just a matter of preference and your learner and their learning style. And in order to be an evaluator qualified by law, you would have an active teaching license or a master's degree or higher. A common question is, can I evaluate my own kids? There's nothing in the law saying you can't. But just to be safe, I choose not to, just to avoid any idea of bias. A lot of evaluators will swap services with other evaluators to do their children. So that's an option as well. And each evaluator has their own style. Luckily, the law doesn't honestly say much at all about what our evaluations have to look like, just that our professional opinion needs to say that there has been adequate growth and progress achieved in order for that to be ideal. They can still, the school district can still refuse an evaluation letter. I've never had it happen, and I've written 200, probably close to 600 or more. and I've never had that happen. So I'm not sure, what the likelihood of that actually happening is, but we're very lucky that the law doesn't restrict us a lot. And so families who might not seem very traditional uh, don't have to do things that would increase stress on the family in order to be able to legally homeschool. So this is all a good thing, in my opinion. Who has to submit proof of progress is if you've submitted an NOI for the current school year and the learner was 6 on or before September 30th and not yet 18 or graduated. So, if you decide at 15 or 16 the child's graduated and you've notified the school district, you don't have to turn in proof of progress anymore for that child once they're graduated. And you don't have to submit a proof of progress until they're 6 on or before September 30th of that school year, even if you included them on the NOI. Even if they're 5 and you submitted the NOI, that does not mean you have to submit your proof of progress until they're 6 on or before September 30th. When is it due? It's due by August 1st of every year. And your notice of intent for the next school year, if you choose to continue homeschooling, is due by August 15th. And they don't need to be sent separately. So if you homeschool this year, you're planning on homeschool next year, you can send them both together prior to August 1st, even. And I don't know why they give us, I say this all the time, 2 weeks in between the due dates. Why not just make it one? Because people get them so confused. And honestly, if you mix them up, no one's going to say anything to you anyways, because we all know the school district is terribly overwhelmed, understaffed, and they can't really keep up anyways. So, they might send you an email and say, hey, this was due 2 weeks ago. But as far as any real repercussions, I highly doubt anything like that would happen. So how do you show proof of progress? These are with me. I can only speak for myself. There are a lot of evaluators and they do it a lot of different ways. So this is for me, the 3 ways that I see it done. So the families who might do more traditional work and have curriculum and worksheets and all of that, they might send me some work examples from the quote unquote beginning and end of the year. We school year round, so that's why I put it in quotations very loosely. Sometimes it's just easier to give the school district what they understand because it's just too difficult for them to see past the tips of their own noses. So anyways, yeah, just a few examples. It doesn't need to be more than like literally 3. You don't need to go much beyond that. You can do a portfolio, which would be like a digital scrapbook of your year, kind of similar to what I created here in Canva. It's really fun for me personally. And you can get your learners involved too, if that's something that excites them, arts and crafts and creating and stuff like that. Some things you might want to put in it is a list of any books that they read, if they are artists. If you go to the beach and you're finding cool shells, maybe you took a little video, you can include that. You can, if the child isn't ready to write their own little description of something that you share of them doing, maybe they can narrate it for you and you can type it out for them. Or if neither of those options work for you for whatever reason, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances I've seen. We can just log on to a meeting just like this and just talk about it. And those 4 bullet points are what we usually discuss. What's gone right, what went wrong, because that's also important to understand. There's a lot to learn from what went wrong. Any hobbies or extracurriculars the kids are into. I meet a lot of young entrepreneurs, and it's just so exciting. These kids who They may not care about sitting down to a math worksheet, but they are out here starting businesses. And that's incredible. And then goals for next year, and not just you as the parent, but also them. So, listen in to them, because I bet you they're telling you their goals. And again, they may not be traditionally academic minded, um, but maybe their goal is to, increase their businesses by X amount, or to save up money for a specific hobby that they have, or travel to a certain place, or um, so that goal, that's a big one. The goals, for sure, that's very important to be listening to and be thinking about. And then the final product, what do I give you? That's always a big question for everybody. What does this look like in the end? Um, this previous year, I started keeping digital notes when I'm talking to everybody, because it just frankly became far too embarrassing to see people multiple times. And having seen so many people, that I can't remember specifics, and I like being personal. So I keep digital notes, just so if I see you again in the future, um, I can say, oh yeah, they wanted to start learning Spanish. How's that going? Or I remember they made a skateboard last year. What have they been up to? Like, have they made anything like that? Again, really just, or, disabilities, so that I can understand, you know, what the learner is working with. Or I see a lot of family dynamics or situations. Maybe they're like cross country moves, or, a loss in the family that impacted the child or the entire family in a particular way. And so, um, understanding that what every individual and every family is working with is important to me, because growth is going to look different for every individual based off of what they're experiencing in life. Um, but all of that remains private, obviously. And when I do my report, it is one page, and it is only exactly what's required by law, and not an inch more. And my goal for this year is to have it sent out the same day, before, like at the latest, maybe a half hour after our meeting, just to help me be able to manage a greater workload that I've been blessed with. And what I do is I send you the letter and a copy of my degree, because you're going to want to send that degree along with my letter, so that they can see I'm qualified by law to write it for you. And you're going to send it to the same people that you sent your NOI to. And then here are some other things that I do. Um, I also write high school transcripts. Um, I do homeschool support. Maybe people who are new to homeschooling, or just need like a reframe, or just different ideas. I need that myself, and I do this for other people. So this is nothing about us as parents. Sometimes we can't see outside of our own family, and we need a little assistance. Parent coaching, understanding behaviors that might be causing some, discord in the family. Um, Again, that's hard to see as the parent sometimes. Neurodiversity education, if you have a possible ADHD autism diagnosis, and you're wondering how that is affecting your day-to-day life, or the child's ability to learn the way you're expecting them to learn, or ways you can adjust the way you're teaching them to make it easier on them to accommodate for their disabilities. And then real estate, of course, that's a passion. I was actually up in Chesterfield yesterday morning with a homeschool mom getting ready to sell their house. So I'm in the Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area, and I'm doing my yoga and meditation teacher training right now. And I put that on there just because it's kind of been floating around my head to offer some sort of meditation classes for busy minds. So I have ADHD and I'm autistic, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about what meditation is and who can do it and what it has to look like. And it's made a huge difference in my life. And so it's kind of weighing on me to help people understand. Hey, stop. So that is the end of my my little slideshow. So let me stop sharing and get to this text box. Did anybody have any questions that I didn't go over? You can put in the chat. Or you can unmute yourself. That's cool too. Anybody?
I have a question. um, so we've been doing evaluations since the kids were in kindergarten, but have found that our evaluator doesn't really fit with our family anymore. We've kind of outgrown them. And so I was wondering, like, when you schedule evaluations and you have a big family like us, like, so we have 3 kids that are still homeschooled. How do we do that? Do you send out like an email that says, hey, I have these slots available? Or do we reach out to you? Like, what does that look like? Making an appointment with you to have our kiddos evaluated.
Yeah. So when my schedule started getting crazy busy, I had to start employing different tools for that. And I use Calendly, which is really cool because it links to my Gmail. So you go on my Calendly link and you're going to see all the openings that I've allowed in my calendar for the specific meeting type you're talking about. And that's it. You pick a day and a time that works for you. And my when you sign up for the appointment, you're going to see a bunch of questions just to help me have your letter ready to roll. So contact information that I'm going to put on your letter, because I like to have the letter kind of pre-framed so that as we're talking, I can wrap it up and sign it and get it sent out immediately. I've never spoken with a family that I denied an evaluation for. I don't even like the word evaluation because it sounds like interview or something. Um, I've I think at worst, then what we would do is create a plan moving forward for next year, things to change, right? But I've literally never actually denied anybody a letter. But yeah, that when you're booking, it'll ask you a bunch of questions, just so I can have that ready to shoot off for you. And it'll ask like the child's pronouns because I want to be able to use those correctly in the letter. Um, and any diagnoses that you're comfortable sharing with me that might help me understand where the child's coming from. Um, and yeah, I believe that's it. So you get to pick your day and time and answer all those questions. And of course, uh, if you can't find anything, then just message me and we'll figure something else out. But there's a lot of openings, so it's not usually a problem.
So there's not like a special slot for like, hey, if you have 2 or more kids, book one of these sessions. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, and I think I have it on there that 1 to 3 kids is one session. And I don't find many families who need longer than that. And unless there's, a lot of support being needed.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks.
Yeah. I miss your face. It's nice to see you here.
I miss you too.
Okay, so Becca says, hi. So just as a busy mom, if we do the portfolio option, do we also need to then meet up with you on Zoom? I love being personal, so it's cool if so, but curious of the option. Yeah, so I always still meet with people. Even if you send work examples or the portfolio, um, just to say that I have been as thorough as I am comfortable with. I don't require the students to join us, and um, not everyone agrees with that method of mine. However, I know that requiring a student to join us may actually, limit the accessibility to an evaluation, in my opinion. So, yeah, I just even if it's just to say, wow, this is a really cool thing you put together, and really nice meeting you. See you next year. You have any questions, so yeah, I do still like to try to meet up. And let's see. Hi, my son uses a virtual platform for his core classes. Can the evaluation be done before he finishes those, or should those be completed? No, so if you use any sort of a curriculum, it does not need to be finished in order to do your evaluation. Absolutely not, because I'm just attesting that there has been adequate growth and progress. There's no metric for every learner that looks like, right? So it's not 50% completion of curriculum, 75%, 100%. I get to determine what that is. And sometimes for some families, that's the child is able to independently dress themselves now. Maybe the child has made a friend outside of the house now. That's adequate growth and progress. So it doesn't always need to be academic either. And again, that's just how I interpret it, and that's how I believe a lot of families need it to be interpreted. Because if mental health, emotional health, spiritual health is not solid, then I just don't think the academic growth is worth much at all. Yeah, so no curriculum needs to be completed as long as there can be growth shown. And then Elizabeth says, hi, we haven't started homeschooling yet. Just to clarify, if my son starts kindergarten with an NOI, we do the evaluation before the start of first grade. So Elizabeth, it depends on how old your child is. So when would your child turn 6? And while Elizabeth is sharing that, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to my Calendly in the chat if you want to pick a day and time now. Elizabeth says, I need to close some tabs. Okay, Elizabeth says September 4th, 2025. Okay, so this, math, huh? This coming school year would be 2024, 2025. So you wouldn't need to submit an evaluation until the 2025, 2026 school year. Because they will be 6 as of September 30th, 2025. So yeah, the 2025, 2026 school year is when you'll need to have your first evaluation done. Any other questions? All right, 2023, 2024, proof of progress. Evaluation. All right, putting this link in the chat. Yeah, you're welcome, Elizabeth. Let's see. Sarah says, for a high schooler, how do we show PE and do we need to? So as far as evaluations go, sure, great, something to mention to me. It's most important for you to be able to show that on a transcript, right? And so for that purpose, it's more for that purpose than for an evaluation. In Virginia, we only have to report on language arts and math. So not that we don't talk about all the other things and that you're not doing so many other things, but Legally, those are the only two things we have to, and even if you do testing and you do the formal testing, those are the only subjects that you're required to turn in to the district. So yeah, you do want to have something to track for PE for transcript purposes, but not necessarily for evaluation. But fresh air and movement is always a good thing. I have to prescribe it to my kids most of the time. And so you'll see the link that will take you directly to my scheduling page where you should be able to pick a day and time. And um, the way that works is it requires a $20 deposit. And then you're going to get a reminder email. I think it's the day prior, maybe 2 days prior, um, for you to click a button and confirm that we're still meeting. And it'll also include a link for you to send the remainder of the payment. And I accept payments through Stripe. And that allows you to use a debit or a credit card, which is a lot easier than me sending out Venmo, Cash App, Zelle information, and then hoping everybody has some form of electronic payment. So Stripe is lovely, and that's how I take payments. It really keeps it all in one spot and doesn't get confusing. And then I can easily, put in your name or your email, and if you aren't sure if you've sent payment or whatever, I can check. Melissa says I signed up the other week and have an eval date, but never was required to make a payment. Yeah, I again growing pains with business. Um, I started a support and evaluation package, and this school year where you can get a couple sessions of support throughout the year and then an evaluation at the end of the year. And so those people have already paid for their evaluation. I got the links messed up. So yes, I will make a note and I will text that over to you very shortly. Melissa Rosado, you're welcome. And yeah. You know what I'll probably do, Melissa, is cancel the current one we have and try to get you to, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Because I'm betting when you signed up, it didn't ask you all of those, the important information I'll need to put on your letter. Any other questions? We have approximately 10 minutes left if there are any other. Oh, it did ask the questions. Okay, interesting. We will figure it out. I know that it's seems simple and more simpler than you would expect. We're lucky to have it so simple. My best friend moved to South Carolina recently and decided to start homeschooling, and they're a lot more conservative down there and require a lot more tracking than we do. But then when I talk to people who are coming from other states that have far less requirements, they think we have a lot of requirements. So it's perspective. And if you want to shoot me an email, I'll include my email address in here too. Yeah. And portfolio. Yeah. I I really enjoyed doing mine too. And like nearly every person I talk to, they always say, I really felt like preparing for this, I was nervous thinking that we didn't do enough. We always feel like we didn't do enough, right? But then as you're writing it all down or looking through your, pictures in your phone or papers you kept or whatever, and you're putting it together, you're like, holy crap, like we did a lot. Maybe we could even afford to do less. And that's always so relieving to feel at the end of the year. And that's one of the most common things I hear from people. And I felt that too last year when I was making my little presentation. I couldn't get my kids involved in helping me, of course, but it was cute what I made. Any other questions or comments? Okay, everybody, I'm gonna shut down the meeting then. And you know how to reach me. There's my email if you want to send something later or have more questions, and you have my link to schedule. And happy holidays, and I will see you next year. Bye, everybody.